Hello, Gov Seekers. What is back? What is back? What hello? Hello. We're back. That's what I'm trying to say. What's going on? We're back was the sentence. I'm having some hair stuff, guys. We're having a little bit of a hair thing. It's getting a little poofy. We'll figure it out though. We'll work through it. My surfer necklace broke yesterday, so thoughts and prayers for my surfer necklace. We need to go somewhere warm and nice and get another one. I'm drinking hot urine. No, this is iced tea. Don't be a creep. Make a little pot of green tea in the morning. Then what's left over, I put it in the fridge and I have iced tea in the afternoon. What a genius way to live. Hello, everybody in the chat. We haven't been here in about a month. Yeah. Sorry for the delay. It's 2 minutes, Lee. Come on. It's only 2 minutes. Thank you, everybody watching on Rockfin and Lee's YouTube and my YouTube. If you're watching on one of our YouTubes, make sure you follow the other person's YouTube. All right. All right. Stop breaking your shit. I don't know what that means, but okay. Good to see everybody. All right, let's start it out. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Government Secrets with the two most censored comedians in America, Lee Camp and Graham Elwood.
All right, Graham. First of all, a couple of minutes. It's a sign of respect to the audience. All right. Let's be on time here. Secondly, stop breaking your shit was in reference to your goddamn surfer necklace. Third, poofy hair. What is this? I go away for a month and you have poofy hair. This is unacceptable. On top of that, Ratso would like to point out that you hit go live 7 minutes ago, so it's 7 minutes for Ratso, who's been waiting a long time.
No, sir. The announced time is 12 o'clock. That's Ratso. Showing up early does not make me late. That's incorrect. We say 12. We start at 12:02. Like a comedy club, Lee. You wait till everybody's situated.
They were getting seated. There was a lot of people.
A lot of people getting seated. A lot of people getting seated. A lot of people just getting their orders in. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true.
I went slightly different haircut. Normally I go uniform short. This last haircut, which was about almost a month ago now, I said really tight here and just leave a little. And so now my top is just, it's living its own best life. And
last haircut, I blindfolded the guy and I said, let's see what you really got.
Much has transpired in the United States of America since you left, Lee Camp.
Wait, what? I've had my news off. Did something happen?
Yeah. Gas prices have gone up a little bit, but I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything.
Gas prices absolutely have gone up a little. Also, a small bag of pistachios at the airport is $17. I kid you not. $17 fucking dollars.
Yeah. Well, speaking of my haircut, I'm not casting any shade on the woman who cuts my hair, but they just told me they had to up their prices from $30 to $35.
Doesn't look like a $35 haircut.
There's not $35. There's not over $40 with tip with his hair.
I was going to say $13.25. $13.25 in that haircut.
There's a good chance come January, we will be doing this at a different time because I will be in a wildly different time zone.
Oh, where are you going?
I think I'm going to be in Asia. I've got some shows lined up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
As much as I love living in a collapsing empire and it's fun to watch.
It is hilarious.
It is hilarious. I think So what were your fun thoughts when you were in Tibet or whatever, watching the election happen? What I'm dying to know.
Watching everything melt down. Well, for the most part, I didn't have much to watch. So, there's I was working 12 hours days on the docuseries there, and I just, would flip open my Twitter once every 7 hours and go, oh, that's interesting that everything's on fire. That's going to be hard. That fire is going to be hard to put out there. That's what that is. No, of course, as you know, I suppose the thing I find most interesting is the whole, like, everything was great under Biden and everything's going to be a catastrophe under Trump. And you're like, you don't understand anything about how the system works, do you?
I must say, like, I thought either one of them could win, and I thought it would be close. I didn't foresee just Harris getting smoked. And the reason, if you look at the numbers, which is something that liberals really don't want to do, is Trump got this basically the same amount of votes as he did 4 years ago, and Harris got probably 8 million less than what Biden got in 2020. And I was like, wow, that means a lot of people stayed home is what happened.
Yeah, I've been reading some things out. A lot of people did stay home, and I think that, I know some people want to say, no, that's not it, but I think supporting a genocide for a year actually made a difference. I think a lot of people were like, this isn't exactly what I want to get enthusiastic about.
And more data to support that fact is the numbers that Rashida Tlaib won her district in Michigan. She's, openly Palestinian, Democratic, no, she wasn't allowed to speak at the Democratic convention, by the way. No Palestinians were allowed.
I don't think she was allowed to speak at the Democratic anything.
No. She openly said, I'm not endorsing Harris, as did Ilhan Omar. And Tlaib won with about 70% of the vote in a state where Harris got under 49% of the vote. Harris got like 48.6% of the vote. So there was a 20-point disparity, just to show why another reason why the Democrats lost. There's many, but this is a big one. Is, like you say, Harris and Biden were supporting a genocide, and people voted for the openly Middle Eastern Palestinian woman of color who was against the genocide by 20 more points than Harris did.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but, and of course, you and I know Trump's not going to be any better on the genocide, but the difference is a lot of Americans just look at what's happened and they assume the voting for the other thing or not voting is different, and it's not, but they still assume that. They assume Trump is going to be different than so many things on Biden Harris, and he's going to be exactly the same on Israel, if not worse, but there's not a lot of worse to go. But
no, just keeping the genocide going. How much more worse can it go?
Yeah. He put Huckabee. He's putting Huckabee in as like ambassador to Israel, and Huckabee has said that the West Bank and Gaza don't exist, I think. So yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of reasons of just like, both Trump and Harris, or both the Democrats and Republicans, lie endlessly, but their lies are slightly different. Trump's lies are like pretending Harris is a socialist and pretending he's the greatest guy who's ever lived and those kind of things. The Democrats' lies all act like they care about things they don't actually care about, or they will do nothing about. Trump says he, hates immigrants, and he does try very hard to deport immigrants. Like, he actually does the thing he tried to do. He says he wants to do. Whereas the Democrats will often say, and many times say, they care about people or care about immigrants, and yet they will work very hard to deport all immigrants. So it's like there's a certain kind of lying that like just proves the Democrats never stand for what they claim to stand for.
That's the thing. And Trump, when he says, I'm going to do this thing, he does it, whether you like it
or he tries. Or
he tries. At least he tries, And then this is the thing, like 8 years of this, and it seems like most liberals still don't want to learn. It's the same old, but he's going to be bad for immigration. Again, like Obama was the deporter in chief. He built the cages. Like
Biden and Harris have deported a great many more than Trump ever did.
Right.
And that's not intentionally. Trump wanted to deport as many as possible, but I think he is, as many of the corporate leaders were worried, he's a terrible, manager of the U.S. empire. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So he puts in idiots and clowns. And they have a tough time implementing their racist policies.
So this term's going to be different. Then we'll get into it. But I just want to hear your take. So the first time, Trump lost the popular vote but won the electoral vote, and I think they had, I can't remember, the Republicans controlled only one of the, either, I forget what it was. They controlled either the Senate or the House. Well, now they control the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. And he wants to do the tariff thing. He did that his first term. That caused a trade war. Deporting everybody, as he says he wants to do, that could hurt businesses in terms of like all of the migrant labor that the big corporations use. The president of Mexico,
and a lot of it is very cheap labor, which of course they pass those prices increases onto the people.
Right. So the price will go on to people. The Mexican president, she's a new president. She said she's going to deport Americans, which
that'd be amazing.
That would be so great if just like white girls in Tulum that were like, we're going to find our chakra crystals, or just like, you're on the bus, bitch, back home.
And they're forced to like crawl under the border fence or something.
They got to sneak back. They got to get a coyote. Or they're just in orange jumpsuits, on some jail bus or something being driven.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a little interesting as to whether there's a big change from his first term. It does all seem like just a speeding up of the spiraling of the end of the empire.
Right.
It's, getting towards the bottom of the toilet. Just see how quickly it can be done, but I don't know.
Well,
all positive.
That was the thing. Going for us politically homeless folks, we were just like, there is really no good options here in terms of there's nothing, no one's coming to save America. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing good is, there's no upside. There's no silver lining. There's no, even 28 years ago, I had a like, well, maybe we can, the left will, liberals will wake up and we'll reform the Democratic Party and Bernie will blah, 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 blah. Nope. Done. Over. Shitty. Everything. Nope. It's over.
Actually, as Bernie was running in his state of Vermont this time, his slogan was Bernie's going to. That was actually it. Yeah, no, the only positive I see is just all the people that are uniting, and some of them are kind of, liberals who still don't get it, but they want to fight against the wrong that's being done by the U.S. government, whether they think it's caused by Trump or not. The point is, I think a lot of people are uniting and will unite to continue to fight for people, for immigrants, for farmers, for trans people, for people of color. Like, all those fights are important, and people uniting, but also fighting to stop the genocide. All those things are important, and I think that's the only place I see positivity.
I think it was Caitlin Johnson who said the one upside of Trump winning is maybe liberals will start protesting the genocide rather than staying quiet about it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things like that where it's like, oh, this would be exactly the same under the Democrats, except liberals seem upset about it now.
Yeah.
like immigrants. Have you seen any? Biden and Harris have legit deported far more than Trump did, and I have seen nary a protest by liberals against the harm done to immigrants. Whereas when Trump did like his Muslim ban, you had people rushing to the airport. Yep. My sister-in-law, who does pro bono law, she was one of them. She was on the cover of the New York Times, running to the airports to help these immigrants that were, getting arrested, getting stuck at airports and things like that. You didn't see any of that under Biden-Harris.
He signed more drilling permits than Trump did these last 4 years. I didn't see any liberals chaining themselves to drill, to oil rigs or whatever because Biden did it. They were fine with it.
It was good kind of climate destruction. It was the liberal kind.
It was diversity. There was rainbow flags on all of the drilling permits.
The pipes said painted on the side, all are welcome in these bathrooms. That was on the side of the oil pipes.
Oh God. Liberals, I think it feels like liberals, and especially the Democratic Party, have meetings every day. Like they wake up really early and go, how can we not learn from our mistakes? Like, let's get clear. Let's put it on a dry like how to not do it. Point 1, point 2, point 3. Like here's a
Well,
5-step plan.
well, and of course, at a certain level, that's by, not your average liberal, but at a certain level, that's by design, because if they actually, quote unquote, learn from their mistakes, they would start to like question capitalism, question the ruling elite of this empire, question what it is America stands for, question whether we're actually free, question whether we have a democracy. Yeah, no, you start questioning those things and game over.
And they're going to be like, well, it's all these men, men didn't want a female president. I said, oh no, there's going to be a female president and she's going to be a Republican and her name is probably going to be Tulsi Gabbard because they're already grooming her because Trump can only run for 4 years. Like this is it. He can't run again. There's going to be a female president and she's going to be a Republican.
I couldn't find easily, my research ability lasts for about 30 seconds. If I don't find it in 30 seconds, I'm done. Is it true? I mean, I know he's also said he's not going to run again, I think, but is it true he can't run again, or is it 8 years in a row?
My understanding is that it's 8 years. He can't.
Okay.
Because then guys could just come back every 4 years and then just, leg this out for 20 years or whatever. So,
right.
You can only be a president twice.
Yeah. John is confirming. See, I don't trust Graham, but John in the chat says he can't run again.
Just because I lost my surfer necklace, you think I have no power or strength anymore?
I have an actual bracelet from Tibet, so you are fucked.
Nice. You got a Buddhist thing.
A Buddhist thing. Yes,
nice.
Yes, indeed. I played 5-on-5 full court basketball with 9 Buddhist monks. Here's the thing. In Tibet, every breath of air is 40% less oxygen. It's at 14,000 feet. And so 15 minutes was my max. I was like, my lungs are on fire. And that was it.
That's awesome. Did you get that on camera? You playing basketball?
Yeah. And I actually made like a 3-point shot. And that was it. I retired after I did that.
You just go, in your face, you bald bitch. Is that what you said?
Yeah. It was a lot of bald bitch yelling. Yeah. It was
nice robe, sweetheart. And just
Buddhist monk, more like Buddhist fucks. I kept yelling that. I don't know if that was clever or not, but
you better come back taller and better in the next life. Like just fucking.
Where's your God now?
Just an American ruining it, going to the spiritual Mecca.
All the trash talk against the Buddhist monks.
Oh, awesome. Well, I hope the game was sponsored by Mountain Dew or Coca-Cola or something like that. I hope.
Monster energy drink, yeah.
All right, let's do our first segment. It's a fun one.
Well, here's the thing. Since we generally have less time for the second one, let's do yours first.
Oh, man.
I think we should do the fun one first.
Really?
Well, because lots of time we have less time for the second one. So if we spend the whole time on genocide, then...
All right. Okay. So we want to make sure there's less time for the bummer one.
Yeah. Decreasing bummer time.
Yeah, we had a healthy texting. You were like, I'm doing this one, I'm doing that one. And Lee was like, oh, this will be a full genocide episode. And I thought about it. I was like,
it was almost a full genocide of Native Americans episode.
Can't do it. We'll do this. I'll do the Navajo long walk on another one. Because it's a bummer as well. All right. Here we go. Segment number 1, episode 171, the history of U.S. political sex scams in the Capitol.
Now, I want to be sure you have to hit every single one of the sexual scandals.
Oh, wow. Well,
then you cannot miss
9-hour episode.
Yeah.
We're just going to kind of do some of the big guys, the big guns. Secretary of Treasury Alexander Hamilton, who was in the Federalist Party, who later became president, had an affair with Maria Reynolds while both were married to other people. The It's the Hamilton Reynolds sex scandal. Reynolds' husband blackmailed Hamilton, who paid to maintain secrecy. In 1797, after Hamilton was no longer Treasury Secretary, journalist.
Sorry, Alexander Hamilton was never president.
Oh, he wasn't. Okay.
Sorry.
You're right. He wasn't. But he is on the $20 bill.
He did get a bill, yes.
He's got that beautiful hair. You can see why the chicks dug him. He had just a sexy flow. It just looked like a surfer from the 60s or something like that. Just beautiful. Just take out a $20 bill right now, folks, and take a look at his Hamilton's just beautiful hair.
You sure it wasn't a wig? They were big on wigs back then.
Oh, that's why this guy was waxing tail back then. He just had the flowing robe, everything. Hamilton made a public apology stating the confession is not made without a blush. I can never cease to condemn myself for the pang which it may inflict in a bosom in a eminently entitled to all
wow,
my
even in his apology, it's like an erotic letter.
He's talking about
I have placed into the bosom of America my rock hard cock.
I can't apologize enough about all those sweet big bosoms that were flopping around in my golden locks of surfer hair. Yeah, so that was our boy Hamilton. I don't know if that's in his musical that they're doing. I haven't watched that.
It is in his musical. I have listened to the musical in order to play it for my 3-year-old because I need like silly sing-songy music. But yeah, they do talk about the fact that he had an affair with a woman and apparently the husband knew and basically just said, pay me and you can and I'll keep it quiet. So he basically was paying the husband to continue it. And yeah, I also think about how much the Hamilton the musical, how offensive it'd be if it was an all-white cast, which it probably should be to be accurate. But
well, I got to give the husband credit for just thinking, passive income streams. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He he just found different men to pay him off, so he'd look the other way. Yeah.
I mean, if my wife was cheating on me, I could get really mad, or I could just go, I might as well get paid. You know what I'm saying? Might as well pimp her out.
That's how it works.
That's good business sense. Now, President Thomas Jefferson, who was a Democratic Republican, didn't know such a thing as existed. Well, it's still that way, basically.
Yeah. It is. They should both be called Democratic Republicans.
Was accused by the same journalist, James Callender, in the Jefferson Hemings controversy of fathering the children of the slave women, Sally Hemings.
He did not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's TJ. Yeah, we all knew about TJ. He was
well, and Sally Hemings, I'm sorry, I don't know all the every detail, but she was also his wife's half sister, so I guess his wife's father basically raped a slave, and then you had Sally Hemings, who's like her sister but also a slave. It's so sad and ridiculous.
Yep, that is correct. She was the half-sister Jefferson's late wife Martha. Based partly upon DNA, there is now scholarly consensus that either Jefferson or a close relative fathered several of Hemings' children. In January 2000, a Thomas Jefferson Foundation research committee concluded that Thomas Jefferson was probably the father of Eston Hemings and likely the father of 6 of Hemings' children. A later report from Thomas Jefferson Heritage Society committee offered, concluding that either Randolph, presumably Thomas Jefferson Randolph, Jefferson's grandson, or the nephew of Jefferson Carr likely fathered Easton. Oh boy.
Listen, the plantations were kind of out there. There wasn't a lot of people around, so you just had to go with what was around.
President Andrew Jackson. I get my bills. I think it's Jackson who's on the 20. I'm sorry. Someone verify this.
Jackson is on the 20.
He's the guy with the great hair. Great hair.
Oh, is Hamilton not on a bill? He is.
What's Hamilton's on the 10?
Yeah.
Jackson's got great hair. Just beautiful hair. Gee.
I'm not as caught up in their hair as you are, but
Well,
yeah.
of all of the Bills, they all look like old white dudes wearing weird wigs or whatever, weird haircuts. But Jackson, he's the one guy in the Bill where it's just like, man, that is just.
He had a big impact on you, didn't
He
he?
really did. The $20 bill. I mean, that is.
Every time I'm spending a 20, I get a little dizzy, drool a little bit.
It's just gorgeous. I mean, I don't think any of us spend enough time looking at the guys on the Bills, and I just urge you to do that and enjoy.
Well, you know what it is? Murdering thousands and thousands of indigenous is actually good for like the curl.
It's like collagen.
Fluff and bounce. Yeah.
It's good for fluff and bounce. So Andrew Jackson married Rachel Donaldson Jackson in 1791. Both believed that her divorce from her abusive alcoholic first husband, Lewis Roberts, was final. However, Roberts had never completed the paperwork, rendering Jackson and Rachel's marriage void. The couple remarried in 1794.
Damn paperwork.
Oh, it's always, I get hung up on that. His opponents portrayed Rachel as a bigamist. After he was elected president in 1828, Rachel suffered a nervous collapse and died before his inauguration. Jackson, bereft at the loss of his wife, blamed her death on the bigamy accusations. Oh, wow.
It seemed like a lot more women were just like collapsing and dying from fear or like anxiety back then.
Right.
Why is it?
Yeah.
Just like they were like, she just got hysteria and then her head popped off. Like, why was that so much of a thing back then?
Just these guys gaslighting them, and so they're just
Yeah.
like, ah! And they went nuts. Then we've got Senator James Henry Hammond of South Carolina in the Nullifier Party, never heard of that party, engaged in a homosexual relationship with a college friend, pursued what he called a little dalliance with his teenage nieces, and had sexual, really, yeah. And had sexual relationships. This is Wikipedia. Sexual relationship with an enslaved females, including a 12-year-old girl. That's called rape, Wikipedia. I don't know who wrote this.
Yeah,
fucking
I know.
Someone's from Epstein's staff. The
It was
affair.
When you say rape, I hear a little dalliance.
Like, listen to this language. The affair with his nieces became, that's not an affair. You raped your 12-year-olds. Like, who the fuck wrote this? God.
Wikipedia.
Yeah,
There's
Wikipedia.
your answer.
There it is.
It's edited by apparently by 500 mostly Western white guys, largely have never been laid.
Yeah, who all went to Epstein's Island or something like that. See, I got Epstein in. Yeah.
Yay. Bing, 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 bing. Where's the confetti?
Also, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high today.
I sold all mine yesterday.
Smart move, Lee Camp. Did you
just said that to see Graham's reaction?
Did you wager it with Tibetan monks? Is that what you have?
Graham starts weeping quietly. Have you not been listening all this time?
What have I been telling you? It's about to hit 100K. Please, people, listen to me. 2 years ago when it collapsed and was at 19,000, no, Bitcoin's bullshit. I said, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. You would have 5x'd your money. Anyway, let's get on.
I thought you meant chewing tobacco. So I bought a bunch of dip and I thought I invested in that. I misunderstood.
Yeah. I mean, you're making a lot of bad moves, buddy. You're betting on Tibetan basketball games. I mean, you're really, things are, I would get a new financial advisor is what I would do.
Tibetan. It's right there in the name. I'm a very literal person, Graham.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons where Krusty the Clown bets on the Washington Generals, the team that always loses to the Harlem Globetrotters. And he goes, they were due.
They were due. It is funny. If someone quotes, they have to quote the first 8 years of Simpsons, and then I will almost always know. But now the first 8 years of Simpsons was 30 years ago.
I know. I know, when we were little children. The President Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, was the subject of controversy during the 1884 presidential race when news broke that he had paid child support to the widowed Maria Crofts, Halpin, for her son, Oscar Folsom Cleveland. Halpin accused Cleveland of raping and impregnating her. She also accused him of institutionalizing her against her will to gain control of their child. Jesus. Cleveland's
And back then,
acknowledgement.
it was not hard to institutionalize a woman. You just said, she's crazy. And then they'd be like, oh, got another cray-cray.
Get out the shackles. A Nutburger's running loose. Cleveland's acknowledgement of Oscar's paternity ameliorated the political situation. Still, the controversy prompted Cleveland's opponents to adopt the chant, "Mama, where's my pa?" After Cleveland won the election, the chant was answered with "Gone to the White House, ha, ha, ha." Wow.
Some serious ball busting there.
Serious ball busting. Let's see. Senator Arthur Brown of Utah, this is in 1906, was a Republican, founder of the Utah State Republican Party, was shot dead by his longtime mistress, Ann Madison Bradley, for having a second mistress. Bradley, who had 2 children by Brown, was tried but acquitted on a defense of temporary insanity.
Wow. I always loved the first mistress getting upset about the second mistress. That's always, what do you mean you cheated on me? I'm supposed to be your only mistress.
Yeah, it's feels like kind of a live by the sword, die by the sword situation. I could literally go through this list 4 hours, but we'll go with
just skip to any that involve inanimate objects. Anyone who fucked the Oval Office desk. Let's do that.
A lot of these guys had children. So Warren G. Harding was a Republican, reportedly had affairs with Carrie Phillips and Nan Britton during the 1910s and early 1920s before he died in 1923. Britton claimed in her best-selling 1927 book, The President's Daughter, that Harding had fathered her daughter Elizabeth while he was a senator. In August 2015, genetic tests confirmed Harding as the father of Elizabeth. And Senator David Walsh of Massachusetts, a Democrat, was accused of visiting a male brothel in Brooklyn, frequented by Nazi spies in 1942.
A male brothel filled with Nazi spies. Now, here's the thing. I have no problem with male brothels, but I can see why at that time that was a big deal. Then you throw in the Nazi spies.
I just want to know, like, gay prostitute Nazi spies. I really like, how come this was never made into like a 70s grindhouse movie? You know,
it absolutely should have been. Just them hanging around in the shadows. I'd like to Hitler that. It's a lot of.
I got a final solution for you, buddy. Just like, so that's just a kind of a brief little from the late 1700s into the early 1900s of creepy sex stuff from our fine presidents of all. And
wait, are we skipping modern?
You want me to keep going? It's 12:30. I mean, it's like we're
well, we spent the first 20 minutes on I think your hair, so you have some time.
All right, I'll keep going.
Just do a couple of modern ones. You have to at least say something about Clinton sticking a cigar in someone, and then we can move on.
For JFK, we all know about JFK, but Lyndon Johnson had a lot of affairs with multiple women, in particular with Alice Marsh, who assisted him politically. His affair with Madeline Duncan Brown allegedly resulted in a son. Let's see. Alan Howe of Utah, a Democrat, was arrested in 1976 for soliciting 2 police officers posing as prostitutes. Representative Fred Richmond of New York was charged in 1978 with soliciting sex from a 16-year-old boy. Charges were dropped after Richmond submitted to counseling. Oh,
That's all. That's all. Just a little counseling.
Just get your mind right, son. There you go. Let's get into the 80s. Democratic frontrunner in 1988 for president, Gary Hart of Colorado, was photographed with model Donna Rice on a boat named Monkey Business during a trip to the Bahamas, raising questions of infidelity. His popularity plummeted and he soon dropped out of the race. 30 years later, it was alleged that the photo had been staged in a setup by the rival campaign of George Herbert Walker Bush.
Really?
Yep. And then let's go with we all know about
I mean, there are rape and sexual assault allegations ongoing against Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. Tara Reid, who was basically told by the Me Too movement. Another great thing with liberals, another thing they turned a blind eye to. Tara Reid says, hey, Joe Biden, shut up. That's like.
Yeah. She was told to shut up and ultimately feared enough for her safety that she's in Russia now.
Living in Russia.
Yeah.
That's the open-mindedness. Liberals are so open-minded to people that agree with them. Then they're the most open-minded people. If anyone poses evidence they don't agree with, they don't want to hear it. And they're just as closed-minded as like the Nutburger MAGA people and the religious right. Just as crazy. We all know about Bill Clinton, but let us end on this. Bill Clinton, of course, had an affair, oral sex with Monica Lewinsky in the Oval Office. But let us not forget that Newt Gingrich resigned from the House after admitting in 1998 to having had an affair with a staffer while he was married to his second wife. During the affair, Gingrich was leading the impeachment of Bill Clinton for perjury regarding the latter's affair with Monica Lewinsky.
And I believe he's the one who left his wife, like, as she was fighting cancer, like she's in the hospital and he tells her he's leaving her. And then also didn't, like, the longtime House leader, Dennis Hastert, like, sexually assault kids when he was a wrestling coach?
Oh boy, I didn't know about that one. I can't keep track of all these creeps.
Yeah, abused four boys. Prosecutors said this is an article from 2016.
Yeah, let me see. There's
then of course there's Larry Craig. It really is too long of a list.
Yeah, it is. Dennis Hassler. Yeah, it is. Speaker of the House pled guilty to structuring bank withdrawals to conceal misconduct against unnamed individuals. God. He sexually abused boys while he's worked as a high school wrestling coach decades earlier.
Right, and the accuser was paid off for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, Trump is in here. Joe Biden is not on this list.
No, of course not. Joe Biden didn't happen, except for all the videos of him putting his creepy hands on little girls. But yeah.
So now,
okay, I don't know if anyone else saw the version I saw. You froze, and you froze for like several seconds, and then it just goes, "Cunts," and then it kept going.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
I don't know what you said, but from my view, that was amazing.
I mean, they are. All these guys are cons. I mean, there's no. I mean, I'm not wrong.
Cat Negrita says that they saw the viewers saw the same thing I did.
All right, so now that's segment number 1. All the creepy dudes that have been in power.
All right. I found out about this just the other day. Had never heard about it.
Segment number 2.
The U.S. Navy has just apologized for shelling and burning, basically obliterating an Alaskan native village into oblivion 142 years ago.
Oh, God.
Because, you know, they were worried about the safety of the United States, and so they needed to murder all these Alaskan natives. So the U.S. buys Alaska in 1867, I think it is, from Russia. Now, it is funny when the U.S. buys a massive tract of land that's like 1/5 the size of the United States, or maybe bigger than that. There's a lot of people living there that don't know that they've been bought. It turns out.
Okay, walk me through this again.
This is yet again the insanity of nation states. I always try and explain this, but no one wants to hear it. Yeah, they just bought this land, and there's, you know, thousands and thousands of people living there, and they are suddenly under a new military government that they've never heard of.
Who just comes in and says, you're not supposed to be here. And you're like, we've been here for 4 generations.
Yeah, either you're not supposed to be here or you are answerable to us. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been here for 2,000 years. You've been here 8 seconds. October 26, 1882, in Angoon, in Tlingit Village of about 420 people in the southeastern Alaska Panhandle, is where this happened. And now, just recently, the Navy has apologized. The attack was one of a series of conflicts between the American military and Alaska natives in the years after the U.S. bought the territory from Russia. The U.S. Navy issued an apology last month for destroying the nearby village of Cake in 1869. And the Army has indicated that it plans to one day apologize for shelling Wrangell, also in southeast Alaska, though they didn't give a date. So it's in the books. We're gonna apologize at some point.
So, like the water that was contaminated by the Navy on the island of Oahu in the Red Hill neighborhood like 2 years ago. So those people just need to sit tight for about 100 years or so, and then they'll get an apology.
Only 100 years left, or 140 years.
Yeah, 140. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right around the corner. I mean, we're almost at Christmas, so
right around the corner.
Perfect.
Today, Angoon remains a quaint village of about 420 people. So basically, after 140 years, the numbers in that village are now back up to what they were before. With colorful old homes, totem poles on Admiralty Island, in the nation's largest forest, the Tongass National Forest. There's a lot of brown bears, bald eagles, and humpback whales. Accounts vary as to what prompted the destruction, but they generally begin with the accidental death of a Tlingit shaman, Tith Klain. Klain was killed when a harpoon gun exploded on a whaling ship owned by his employer, the Northwest Trading Company. So this trading company hires, locals to do some of the work. This harpoon gun explodes, kills a shaman, which understandably the people are upset about. The Navy claims that the tribal members then forced the vessel to shore, took hostages, and demanded 200 blankets in compensation. And this is refuted by the natives, who say that they didn't take hostages. Apparently, it was when someone dies, it's their custom to keep the vessel like stationary for like mourning and everything, and so they called that taking hostages. It's a bunch of bullshit concocted by our Navy, but
the best case scenario is just complete complete ignorance and cultural insensitivity, just like hostages, just like, no, they're not. It's like that time in the South, some guy just an Asian dude just knocked on someone's door because he was lost, and the dude just shot him. Like, he was attacking me. He just gunned him down.
Yeah, and the misunderstanding of their culture gets even worse because in sorrow, the townspeople painted their faces with coal tar and tallow. So basically, they painted their faces in a way that frightened the white people, and they were doing that because that's their custom for mourning, but they took it as they're getting ready for an insurrection, like they're painting war makeup on their faces. And so then they just decide to like kill a bunch of them and burn down their town and burn down all their food, which back then they would keep obviously a lot of food in order to make it through the winter. So if you burn down all their food, a lot of them die and of starvation. And many of the town elders decided to basically walk into the woods and take their own lives in order to try and save the younger people in the village.
Do you ever see any Americans doing that? Like Mitch McConnell is still like freezing up in front of the microphone. Joe Biden is wandering around the Amazon rainforest during a press conference. Do you think any of these assholes would ever go, you know what? I need to take myself out so to help other people? Never.
No. And I started thinking about that when in Japan during Fukushima, there were the guys that volunteered to go in and basically it was they were trying to save everyone by, killing themselves. And it was a great honor to them to be able to do that for their people. I cannot picture almost any American doing that.
No. Unless they could like live stream it and and make it be branded content with like Axe body spray or something, then maybe they would do it.
Yeah, if they could make a lot of money with it, maybe. And so this is part of the cake war. I looked it up. I think that's how it's actually been pronounced. It started in 1869. So it was basically several moments where the U.S. Navy was just like obliterating, or the U.S. government was obliterating natives to basically take control of Alaska. 3 semi-permanent winter villages and 2 forts near present-day Cake, Alaska were attacked by the USS Saginaw. Prior to the conflict, 2 white trappers were killed by the Cake in retribution for the death of 2 Cake departing Sitka Village by canoe. The Sitka was the site of the standoff between the Army and the Tlingit, due to the Army demanding the surrender of Chief Kolchika, who was involved in an altercation at Fort Sitka. But it's basically like, you read through the details and it's like, it usually involves some sort of cultural misunderstanding combined with the fact that the U.S. government believes they basically own these people, even though these people have lived there for thousands of years and the U.S. government bought it a year before. But it's like those two things mixing, and then the U.S. having overwhelming firepower. So their answer is to basically just obliterate these towns or these people.
Yeah. Anything that scares us, just blow it up, set it on fire. Don't try to figure it out. Just, scary, face paint, blow them. Just like that's America's reaction to everything.
Yeah. And it's amazing how long that's been our standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Basically, these 3 chiefs were walking in 1869 into a fort. A sentry at the entrance to the fort challenged them, and they ignored the challenge. I guess that just means they ignored him. So he kicked them in the butt. In the ensuing scuffle, the Kolchika, the chief, disarmed the soldier and walked away from the fort with his rifle. Basically, beat him. took his rifle. Upon hearing of the incident, Davis, I think was this is Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis, we know is a good guy, sent a small detachment to Sitka Village to bring in the chief, dead or alive. Because, he took a guy's gun, so clearly dead or alive. A firefight in the village ensued in which the Tlingit slave was killed, and Kolchika and 4 others were wounded. The detachment then retreated as the Tlingit outnumbered them, and Davis proceeded to place Sitka under siege by gunship and fort artillery, demanding the surrender of Kolchika. Some Tlingit who attempted to leave Sitka by canoe were killed by gunship fire. After a few days, Kolchika surrendered to the army. However, the next morning, the army sentry killed 2 unarmed Tlingit from the Kake tribe who were departing in canoe. A report by the Secretary of the Board of Indian Commissioners attributes the initial altercation in part to serving alcohol to natives. Yeah, that's the problem. Not the fact that you took over their entire land.
They should be happy we're taking their land from them. Why, it's like, I don't get it.
It's because they drank too much that they don't like that we stole all their land.
Oh.
Chief Tom and the Kake tribe demanded compensation for the death. So their culture was basically like, if you kill some of our people, you owe us compensation, which was often a number of blankets. And the U.S. refused to pay that.
We couldn't afford blankets. God.
Yeah, we weren't willing to give them blankets, even though in the past we'd used blankets to kill a lot of them. But the army failed to recognize Tlingit law. According to a Post trader, the failure to promptly pay for a real or supposed injury is at once the signal for retaliation. The Kakes believe in an eye for an eye at that point. So Davis instructed them to set sail to Kake and take a few chiefs as hostage until the surrender accused responsible for the killing, and to burn the villages. They found it when they arrived there. They found it deserted because I guess they knew they were coming, and they burned down the village anyway. And then the loss of the winter stores of food and the canoes and the things they use for hunting and everything and fishing caused many of them to die of starvation through the winter. And in 2024, the U.S. Navy's been issuing some apologies.
Oh, what are the apologies? Just like one of those Go Navy shirts, or what are you getting in the apology?
You get these words: "We're sorry about the pain and suffering inflicted upon the Tlingit people. It warrants this long overdue apology. The Navy will be issuing this apology because it is the right thing to do, regardless of how much time has passed since these tragic events transpired." That's what you get, Graham. Wow. Now you can print that on a mug. So,
or maybe like one of those visors that has like the red thing, so you can like play tennis in the sun or whatever, like one of those.
Yep. Well, there was some money that exchanged hands in 1973. They gave them, the Department of Interior gave them $90,000 compensation. And even in 1973, it's not a lot of money for having your people all killed and your village burned down.
Considering all you had to do was give up some blankets and say, we're good. That's all you had to do 140 years ago.
Give 200 blankets, say we're sorry. End of story. And we've gotten to Graham's awkward moment of silence where he just can't believe what the U.S. is made of.
It never goes down easy hearing how awful this government has been. Like it never goes down.
Like, yeah, as a kid, I couldn't have believed that. It took me a long time to believe, like, oh no, they just really were fine with killing everyone. I mean, I guess they still are today, obviously, if you look at Gaza, but
yeah. And what's happening, like globally over the last 30 years, 40 years, is the power is shifting back to the East. I mean, the power, the West since World War II has had a lot of the power, right? And America economically has really decided, has taken over the world economically. But in the last 20 years, China has been slowly taking over economically, and their economy, I mean, Biden and Trump both have tried to we're going to sanction China, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. They might have a little downturn economically, but it's not like the sanctions are just crippling China. Not at all, man. And and especially when you look at what the BRICS nations are doing, America's time is done.
And Richard Wolff and others have made the point that if you put giant tariffs on Chinese products, the ones that do ending up in the United States, those prices are just going to be passed on to Americans.
Yes.
So it's basically putting a giant tax on Americans.
Yep. And, that's the thing about China and Russia. I mean, they're, Putin and their general secretary of China, I forget his name, they've been in power for decades, and they're just like, every 4 years, you guys send some new idiot that's got some new rules. We will beat you in the long run. And that's what they're doing. And all these countries that keep joining BRICS. And now Putin is talking about they're talking about potentially using Bitcoin for BRICS, which again will completely undermine the US dollar. And America is financially, economically, it's done. And it doesn't matter who would have won a month ago or whatever, 3 weeks ago.
Well, and if there were any adults in the room, they'd be like, let's slightly back off trying to own the world. Let's stop overextending ourselves. Let's put money into our people and our own country to some degree. And it's not that it would solve capitalism, but it would certainly make a lot of people's lives easier. And it'd be a slow dwindling of the U.S. empire as opposed to the full speed crash they seem to be aiming for.
Yeah. But that's the arrogance. I mean, it's the same arrogance the Navy was using 140 years ago of we're number one, we're best, and we're just going to come in with fear and bloodlust and take from everybody. So the concept that America is not going to be a world power anymore, I think is like an existential crisis, not just for the ruling elites or the people that care, the politicians, but a lot of Americans, when they see America it's going to either slowly collapse or go down really hard. Americans are going to flip out. They're going to lose. Americans are already like the craziest. It is the most insane psycho cult. Like these two competing nutburger cults of the MAGA religious right people and the dumb liberals. It's stunning to watch that, but this is what happens in a cult and fractured cults and competing cults.
Well, and also it's funny because much of what our presidency is in every 4 years, the so-called democracy and everything, it's theater. And these people are largely puppets. I'm not saying they never make a decision, but they're largely puppets to this system. But it has worked so effectively. Most of America believes the theater so effectively that it's like they're running up and grabbing the puppets and getting really furious and being like, why is this, why is Elmo not fixing things? It's Plato's cave and they're punching the shadows on the wall just furiously. And it's just amazing to watch.
And even if there are some people in power that know this isn't working, they're so beholden to it financially. They can't, it's like you're in the mob. Like I can't get out of this corrupt system because it's paying for and part of the corrupt system is I make all this money. So I got to buy all this house and I've got all this debt and I have all these toys. And so I have to keep that machine going that fuels that. Even if I'm sitting there logically going, this isn't not sustainable. I have to keep funneling cash into that thing.
Yeah. And of course the capitalist system has strategically made it so that most people are stuck in that machine.
Yeah. Yes. Crazy. Crazy town.
We are going to go do an extra segment that I should probably look up what it is soon at patreon.com/government secrets. And the moment you join up over there for a few dollars, you unlock 70 extra segments.
Yes. Over 70 segments you will get. We've been doing this show for 4 years now. It's our 171st episode and 70 some bonus segments. So check that out. And also, my comedy album Manifested is available on iTunes. You can download and listen to it. And
also, we haven't talked about your book.
Yes, I have a book, The History of Technology Rigging U.S. Elections, which is available on Amazon. It's a small little book. You can buy it for $3. You can download it, read it on Kindle.
I feel like you could find a little piece of it, and that could be a government secrets one week.
Oh, I thank you, Lee Camp. Smart business. And then my comedy Christmas album, you can pre-order it, A Socialist Christmas with Graham Elwood. One of the tracks, Duopoly Bluegrass, is already available, but the other 14 tracks you can pre-order. It's on iTunes. Please check that out. It's a lot of fun. It'll be out Black Friday.
And yeah, grab that. And I have a brand new podcast of all my comedy stuff that is called Just Comedy. And it is free to listen to. And episode 6 just dropped. And so look up Just Comedy with Lee Camp. It's on Spotify. It's on all those things. And I also have a Zoom comedy event, which you can grab $5 tickets for December 11th and 14th. That's at leecamp.simpletix.com, TIX.
All right, folks, that has been Government Secrets episode 171. Politicians being creeps and the U.S. Navy stealing land.
See you over on Patreon.
Bye-bye.